Now that you have the basic idea of how the noun system works, let's look at some specifics. Let's actually form real nouns. And so what we're going to be dealing with are declensions. There are 5 declensions in Latin. And the declension is determined by its principal parts. Like a verb that has 4 principal parts, a Latin noun has 3 principal parts. It has the nominative entry, and this is what you're going to find in the dictionary. And then the second principal part, whereas in English you might expect, that's the plural, this is actually the genitive singular. And then we have the gender. And we use shorthands of masculine, feminine, and neuter to signify gender. So natura, naturae, feminine means nature. Now this genitive singular, as I was saying, is very important because it is going to, the genitive singular is going to tell us the stem, and the declension will tell us what declension a noun belongs to. And the way you do this is you look to the ending, this AE. When you see the AE in the genitive singular, you know automatically that this is a first declension noun. And what that means is it's going to follow a particular pattern. The first declension is dominated by the letter A, but it's going to follow this particular pattern, and all first declension nouns are going to follow the pattern to form the nominative, the genitive, the dative, the accusative, and the ablative, singular and plural. So the genitive singular tells you what declension a noun belongs to, and it also tells us the stem. And to find the stem, you just take off the genitive singular ending, and you're left with the stem. So the stem for natura is natur. You may say, well, I could just take the A off of natura and get the same stem, but this won't always work. The third declension is notoriously difficult to predict a stem from the first principal part. So use the genitive singular to determine the declension and the stem, and your life will be much easier. Now the first declension, again, that's just a fancy word for saying this is the particular pattern that we follow to form the 5 cases. Natura, a naturae, genitive, AE, so of nature or natures. Naturae, AE, 2 or 4 nature. You'll notice that these two are identical in form. Context will signal to you what the function is. The accusative naturam, and the ablative natura, and this is actually a long A. So within poetry, certain texts, you'll be able to see that it is different from the nominative. So the singular first declension, natura, naturae, naturae, naturam, natura. Plural, naturae, AE, and again, context will distinguish whether it's nominative plural, genitive singular, or dative singular. Genitive plural, naturarum. Dative plural, naturis, naturas, naturis. And if you're ever asked to decline a noun, that's what we just did here. To decline a noun is to put it into all of its forms in this order. So natura, naturae, naturae, naturam, natura, naturae, naturarum, naturis, naturas, naturis. And this case system here, this order, is the sort of generally accepted case order that most Americans memorize these cases in. It's not, there's nothing natural about this case order, it's just the one we happen to use. So to sum up, here are the endings. I, I, is, as, is. If I were you, and memorizing the first declension, I would attach these onto a noun, whether it be natura, nature, or puella, girl. It's easier to memorize these endings within the context of an entire noun rather than just the endings. So the keys to learning the first declension or learning any declensions is to memorize those endings. You can't do anything if you don't have those endings in your mind. And then always check the cyclic principal part to determine the stem and also what declension it belongs to.